Hey gang, I'm super happy about something. Um, I said before that part of why I do the videos is to externalize my thoughts and then hopefully, reach some like-minded people, at least in the way that they carry themselves. Um, the reason I say that is because I'm not here to find people who agree with me, but I'm here to talk to people who are, free thinkers, open to conversations, respectful, even if they are on 100% on the opposite side of the issue that I am, or somewhere in between. I said before, my life motto, more or less, is I don't care what you think, and I care why you think it. And lately, I've been having talks about people um, being insulting, being rude, condescending, not able to have conversations because it results to an ego-driven win fest. I need to win in this conversation, so I need to say or be willing to do anything to do it, vice listening to the other person, looking at their perspective as legitimate, and looking at them as honest people. That you always think the deceit's there. You're just saying that. Oh, you only believe that because you're stupid or ignorant. And I just came across a video by Trey Gowdy, who I love him. Um, I hope his political career isn't tanked and goes somewhere because I think he's a great guy. Um, so he came up in one of my suggested video feeds, and I was driving, so I listened to it. I was driving to my girls' swim class, and I'm gonna play clips of it, and hope that you enjoy it. I'm gonna cut it off at a couple places and just interject, but um, oh, that's nice. I'll talk about that in a minute. Um, but sorry. Um, I'm gonna play some of these things because every once in a while there's something out there that just resonates. And this it's nice in a way because I respect Trey Gowdy's, and more so after this because um, it just it's one of those things where you just someone says something that relates to it, not only in practice but even almost in the way that you say it, the way that you talk about it. So I'm going to play this clip. I'm going to adjust the volume. So hold on. I'm going to rewind it a little bit so I can get. Hopefully, I don't blow your eardrums out.
That discrimination was wrong, that mistreating children.
So this is the part.
And if you are in that group that wants a better future than the present you are experiencing, if you don't like this disunity, if you don't like this sense of angst, if you don't like what seems to be forcing you to be detached and cynical about your country and your government, then you got to do something about it. You got to figure out what you believe, and more importantly, you got to figure out why you believe it. It is never enough in politics or any other sphere of persuasion to simply tell people what you believe. You have to tell them why you believe it.
Which again, I say all the time. I don't care what you think. I care why you think it. It's why I say I can sit down with someone who is a hardcore liberal, a socialist, even a communist, and if they can elaborate why they think that, where the benefit is, how they got to there, um, it's amazing. It's enlightening. It's just a wonderful thing to see in people. But more important, it validates. Me and Zero Cool had a conversation in a live stream that I'll try to share. Actually, I will share it. I'm going to share it below. No, I will share it another one. I'll share it here too, but only because I'm mentioning it. I'm going to do a separate video about something. But I was talking to him about how people today, they want to stick to labels or signs or wear a shirt that says I'm a this, and they don't want to have to defend that. They feel offended if you ask why or how come or have you thought of this or why do you believe that or why don't you believe this. People today are easily offended and weak and fickle because they want you to accept everything that they say as face value. Not even so, if they say there's something and they're not exhibiting the traits, they'll take it even further and still expect you to believe them, take them at their face value, even if they're doing something completely contradictory to what that label is supposed to represent. Um, and that bothers me. Which is why a lot of the conversations that people have today resort to name calling and just idiocy and immaturity, because people are not used to having to defend themselves, and when they do, it's an immediate emotional thing because they feel it as a personal affront to them that you have just denied their what was it that someone told me before? Um, oh my goodness, can't remember. But gosh, it's right there. I can't think of it. Anyway, but invalidate my existence, like because I'm asking why? Because I'm asking you to defend it, or because I don't agree with it? No, I'm not invalidating your existence. You just picked a weak position on something, and are suffering from the consequences of it. So let's continue.
Do you believe in respect for the rule of law? Let me tell you something about the law. It is the most unifying and equalizing force that we have in this country. It is the only thing that makes the richest person in this county drive the same speed limit as the poorest person. It is what makes the richest person in Virginia pay his or her taxes on precisely the same day as the poorest. So if you don't like the direction of our country, or you want a better future, what do you believe, and why do you believe it?
Again, hearing that from someone else in the context from that person, again, it's just I'm smiling to myself. It makes me kind of feel at some point I'm doing something right. So now we kind of go on to another subject here.
Secondarily, you can be the smartest person in the world, and if you can't communicate what you believe, you're not going to be very successful. So you do need a message, and that message better be why you believe what you believe, but you also need a very effective manner or method of communication. In other words, you need to learn how to persuade. How do you persuade in life? Facts, authenticity, sincerity, credibility. You want to persuade, change people's minds to come around to your way of thinking on whatever issue it is, and I don't care about your politics. They're none of my business. You can have whatever politics you want. But I will tell you what doesn't work: insulting people. Any of you been married for more than a week? Any of you?
I'm sorry, I got it.
You aspire to be married at any point in life? Let me give you a piece of free advice after 25 years of marriage.
So profound here in its simplicity.
Insulting people does not work if your objective is to persuade.
That is, I'm getting in debates with people online, and it's people, and in person too, who they resort to that, and he's gonna unpack it more. But if your opinion is if your objective is to persuade, then you need to stop with the insults, and he's going to elaborate on that more. But the point that where I think it's relevant is, I talk about the ego, and the ego wants to win. The ego wants to beat that person, even if they have to drag them down. And a lot of times that's done because your position, you want to think you're up here, but you're down here, and your only way down to bring that person to your level is you can't elevate yourself up because you lack that depth and that meaning in this whatever label you adhere to, because you can't explain why. So instead of bringing yourself here by saying, I believe this, well, this makes me think that, I've witnessed this, I experienced this, I read this about this, and I read this. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to say, you this, you that, you're a liar, you're stupid, you're dumb, I think you're a moron, and you need to bring that person down to you, which is an interesting perspective. So let's go on.
Look, I did not vote for President Obama. I didn't vote for him.
This is amazing.
But you know what?
So simple.
A majority of my fellow citizens did.
So simple.
So when I see a bumper sticker that says, don't blame me, I didn't vote for the idiot, do you think that's persuasive?
I love it. the reason that is profound, it's profound in and of itself, but the key there, that's the most important thing, is he's calling out his own people. He is not being a hypocrite. He's not saying it's not okay when Obama's people do it. He's telling you, my people here, my peers, what you're doing is wrong and hypocritical and empty. Are you trying to tear that person down, or are you trying to put yourself on even terms with them? Are you trying to reach that, sharing of perspective, that compassion as a person? Is it compassionate to tear that person down? No. That just, I said, and I the respect for him there, just every time I hear him, almost I get more respect for him. But this on a personal level, like I said, because these are the arguments I have with people all the time that I wish they would understand. You need to hold yourself accountable. You need to hold your peers accountable, not just the people over there that you don't agree with. They're not the only ones who need to be accountable.
Do you think anybody that voted for President Obama is going to be persuaded, yeah, maybe I possibly made a mistake because this person called me an idiot?
Or will they even view you differently? Because a lot of these debates are, if you support Trump, you're this. If you're a Republican, you're this. Again, is your objective to persuade or to bring them down and just be rude and immature? If your point is to persuade, you don't resort to name calling, because the only thing you're persuading at that time is that you're right, and more importantly, now you as an individual. At first, they just generalize you. You're a Trump supporter, so you're this. Then you respond in kind in that language by attacking them. So now they're like, oh, that just cements what I said. Look at him, the way he responds.
Life doesn't work that way. You know what happens when you're insulted? You become even more dogmatic in holding your incorrect belief than you were before you were insulted. So if your goal is to persuade,
If your goal is to persuade,
you shouldn't be insulting
you
people.
shouldn't be insulting people.
Let me tell you what else doesn't work. Hypocrisy. Telling other people how to live their lives, but you live your life a different way. You want to persuade people? Hypocrisy doesn't work. Insults don't work. What does work? A relationship. The person has to know that you care about them. They have to know that you care about them.
Yep. So now, when people ask, as Seth, why do you have these? Why do you do this? It's a waste of time. Maybe I'll reach one person without those insults. So I'm going to leave this video here. I hope that you all enjoy it. I'm going to do a couple more. Go easy, gang.